You're listening to Passing Time, a Detroit Lions podcast. We're one pride and all grit, with a passion for Detroit Lions football. Whether you're between meetings, between classes, sitting in traffic, or just relaxing at home, if you have time to pass, pass it with Passing Time. Detroit Lions Talk.
Welcome back. This is Passing Time, a Detroit Lions Talk. This is episode number
56.
Let's get it. And we're on the clock, and you're passing time with us, a Detroit Lions podcast. That's Brian.
That's Rob.
And tonight, we got a good one. Tonight, whenever you're listening to this, it's tonight for us. But we had eyes today at Lions practice, Brian.
Yes.
We had a few scouts down there.
Yeah, we had 4 of them.
4 scouts down there. You want to tell it now, or you want to tease it for later?
We can tell it now. So I and my 3 boys made it all over to Allen Park, and we're able to hang out at practice this morning. As a fan, obviously, I'm still working on the media rights to get backstage, but it was great. It was a lot of fun. My boys had a good time. We face painted and got the balloon animals and swords. And Khalil Dorsey, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you. My boys loved that you came by and signed their football. So. Yeah,
that autograph's going to be worth a lot of money. Never. So, hey, we're going to talk today about biggest storylines from camp, right, Brian? We got eyes there. We've been reading. We've been following things. We're going to have some Devin White reaction.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Jahmyr Gibbs, contract holdout.
What's he doing?
A little update.
I don't know.
How that's going, our projections on, is that good, bad? When does it get over the tipping point on that one? Camp risers. And a few guys that are disappearing into the Homer Simpson hedge. You know, you might not see them again, right? And a special Rob update. We're going to do a little Tigers deadline recap here.
Okay.
Trade deadline happened today. Over the last few days, the Tigers have made some significant moves, and you're going to hear this old man's jaded opinion on that.
Okay.
Brian, Bill's got some bullet points.
Got a few bullet points still.
You want to talk about jaded old man opinions? He's got them. And then, plus, we're going to close with our Super Bowl questions, and we got some fun ones today.
Okay.
Huh? All right.
Okay.
All right. So, with all that being said, I think the most interesting part, and this is fresh, so we're recording this Monday night. Brian was down at practice on Monday with his own 2 eyes and his own, a lot of Michael eyes, 8 Michael eyes down there. And so we got a lot of kind of new perspective here in our own perspective, which doesn't always happen. So first we want to talk about, are the stars aligning this year for a really special 2026 season, Brian?
We talked about last week with this. Are we in the best era of the Detroit Lions football? And we kind of came to the conclusion that this right now, all of us have been blessed to see success for the Detroit Lions. But we were 30 minutes away from a Super Bowl a couple years ago, and I'm coming back to seeing what we did then and now looking at what we're doing now and asking myself, is this the year?
Okay. So let's break this down into kind of 2 parts on, are the stars aligned? And first would be, Brian, can you tell me a little bit on what is working in the Detroit Lions' favor this year for the stars to be aligned?
Sure. I mean, you look at a 4th place schedule. That's going to be huge. I mean, if you walk yourself through the Lions schedule, which we've done, you'll see that it's favorable, and the Lions should be able to pull out 12-ish wins. One up, one below that, and that should be good enough to make make the playoffs.
There are 3 teams that are legitimately kind of already in the tankathon sweepstakes that the Lions get to play this year. So, Brian, real quick, can you just tell the audience, in case you don't know, if you're listening to our podcast, you probably do, but what's the difference? Like, how do you get the 4th place schedule versus a 3rd place versus a 1st place? And can you break that down a little bit?
So last year, obviously, the Lions did not have the best season, finishing 9-8, but they also finished 4th in the NFC North. So because they finished 4th in the NFC North, we get the 4th place schedule out of the teams that we are going to play. So when you look at what the Minnesota Vikings, they're going to get the third place schedule and play all the third place teams from the divisions that we're playing as well. The Green Bay Packers getting the second place, and the Bears getting the first place. So.
Okay. All right. So what else has to work in Detroit's favor this year?
So we're also looking at, we've revamped an O-line. We recognized that our O-line this past year needed work, and we addressed that. And we went into that with some vigor and drafted a first-round right tackle. We brought in one of the top prospects or top free agents at the center position. We addressed the right guard a year ago, and he's coming back in year 2. We moved the best tackle in the game to left tackle, and right now the question mark lies at left guard. So we right now are in a better spot this year than we were in years past, in last year. So.
And you'll get into this, I think, more later on, but like the depth as well, right? Is that coming later on the podcast, or do you want to talk about it right now?
We can talk about that. I mean, if you look at depth across not just the O-line, but specifically in this case, the O-line is better in that roster. So you look at Larry Borum going to be able to be that 6-0 lineman and just an upgrade from Dan Skipper. I love Dan. We all love Dan. Dan was a fan favorite, but it was time for him to move into coaching, and I saw him on the field today. It's pretty hilarious and awesome to see him towering over some of the guys that he's coaching.
Hard not to see him.
Yeah, right? It was great. But Larry is going to be able to be that 6-0 lineman, that swing tackle, and then be able to fill in if necessary. Miles Frazier, he has been working in left tackle, left guard, right guard. He has been able to fill that backup role as well. And
guys, that's a name to earmark here. You're going to hear this name, and you're going to hear it this year. You're going to hear it next year. And this is going to be a name that this guy potentially carves out a role for himself in his future NFL career.
Right. I think that they drafted him for a reason, and he's showing some promise right now. You brought on some competition, Drew Scruggs for Mahogany. And so right now, Mahogany has to play well. He recognizes that last year wasn't good enough, and he recognizes that he's got to be better. And so far, he's been better. We just got to make sure that he reaches the standard that we are setting for the Detroit Lions O-line.
And also, Juice Scruggs comes over here. Yep. He's got a new look. He's getting a new chance, so he's going out. He's going a little harder. He wants to carve out a role. So it's like that, it's the old adage, iron sharpens iron, and competition breeds, a betterment for the team. So that's pretty exciting.
So O-line was one of our biggest concerns last year. It's been addressed, and hopefully, if stars are aligned, there is a meshing of personalities and understanding of traits and an ability to play together. Because an O-lineman isn't just about the individual parts, it's about them playing as a whole. So.
Yeah, all right. So what else is working in the Detroit Lions' favor?
I mean, you look at this roster, and it is... We've raised the floor and extended the ceiling right now. We continue to look at depth. We look at...
As Michael Jordan once said, the ceiling is the roof.
The ceiling is the roof.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt
I love
you.
it. Yeah, so we have a roster that is full of talent. You look at that wide receiver room. You look at Sam Laporta being healthy. You look at... Jahmyr Gibbs, as soon as he signs on that dotted line, we got one of the best running backs in the game. So the talent on this team on the offensive side, and then you go back to the defensive side, and again, bringing in competition, bringing in depth, bringing in youth. These are guys that can play football.
Yeah, all right. So what else is working in the Leo's favor?
I think... And I was skeptical from day one with Drew Petzing as the O coordinator, and if he was the right guy, only because he wasn't the shiny thing that I thought we needed, the Mike McDaniels and the mad scientist. But if you look at what we want to do as Detroit Lions is get back to our roots, be gritty, be nasty, feed off our talents, Drew Petzing is going to be the guy. I really do truthfully believe that. And you pair him up with a Mike Kafka in that passing game coordinator. You allow Dan to get away from the offensive side of the football and just be the manager of this football team, the CEO, the guy that runs the whole ship and steers the whole ship, not just one side or the other. And it allows us to be a better football team.
All right. And then what about on the defensive side of the ball?
And then you look at Kelvin Sheppard, and you need him to take steps in year two. You hope that he doesn't get stuck in what he thinks is the only way. You want him to be flexible to what is a team trying to do to me, and be able to combat that with different schemes. It can't be just base. It can't be just nickel. It can't be just man. It can't be just zone. It has to be a plethora of all of these things at the right times.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that the Lions, what we want to see this year is the Lions go in the locker room at halftime, right? And the defense makes some second half adjustments, and they figure out, hey, what curveballs have they thrown at us this game, and they're able to adjust. We didn't see that last year. The team just kept doing the same things over and over to us, and we weren't able to adjust a whole lot.
You kept pounding your head against that brick wall, thinking that something would be different if you just stuck to your guns. That's not the case. Teams are going to make adjustments, and we have to be able to be flexible as well.
So those are things where, like, the stars are aligning. They're not certainties, but they look to be kind of true at this point right now as we kind of project forward. But, Brian, what are some things that still have to happen for this to be a special season?
I mean, you look at the obvious right now: Jahmyr Gibbs not being on the field, not practicing, being there but not being padded up, part of his team, running through reps. That's a huge hit. And this offense is going to look drastically different with him on the field versus him off the field. Sione Vecchi is not going to be a Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm sorry, Isaiah Pacheco is not a Jahmyr Gibbs. He is a game changer. He's not a running back. He's a weapon. And without him, you're losing a big part of your offense.
So, devil's advocate here is, if this contract situation was really bitter, okay? Gibbs wouldn't be there. He wouldn't be at practice. He wouldn't be jiving with his boys there, listening to his coaches.
No, I truthfully believe that Gibbs wants to be on the field. It's probably his agent saying, listen, we're trying to get this thing figured out. Don't get yourself hurt. You can't practice until we sign on the dotted line. And Gibbs is dying because he wants to be part of this team. He loves this team. He wants to help support this team. But the reality is he also understands that financially he's got to do it the right way.
Yeah,
he's got to do it. He's got to do it maybe not the right way, but he's got to do it the agent's way.
It's a business decision, right?
Business.
Yep. It's hurting him a little bit not to be out there, but also you want to take that toll off your running back a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. The guy is lightning in the bottle, and he's going to pick up quickly, and he's hanging around, listening to the coaches talk, listening to the concepts from the new old coordinator. So, it's not quite as good as him being on the field, not getting hurt, but, this is okay.
And we're still talking about day one of pads. We still got, this is not last year, which there's a lot of things stacked up against the Lions last year. If you think about last year, we were going into the Hall of Fame game this week last year. But not just the first week of pads. It was we're ready to play a preseason game.
Yeah. Yep. So, what else, Brian? Because there's a few things that have to happen in your opinion.
And this is not just.
I think this is number one, right?
Right. This is not specifically to the Lions. This is to every team in the NFL. You got to stay healthy. You look at the past of the Detroit Lions. This bug that's hit them is this health bug where we've just lost guy after guy after guy, and we're scraping, the free agency, barrel. And you look at, the guys on our practice squad, and you're just bringing, next guy up. But you can only go next guy up so many times.
Yeah. So specifically, are there a couple guys that you're kind of like, hey man, these are some key cogs of if they're healthy.
The obvious two are Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. Are the best safety tandem in all of the NFL when they're healthy. And Brian Branch, we've heard good news about his rehab. He was off the side working out at Lions training camp today. He wasn't on the field, but he's going through drills. He's backpedaling. He's making cuts. Those are all good things, looking fluid. And Kirby's off there working too, but I just think that I don't know if Kirby has a disconnect in the reality or if the Lions look at him and are just protecting him. But it just seems like there's a frustration from Kirby that he wants to be on the field and the Lions want to protect him all the way and they just don't see him being ready.
I don't
know.
Kirby's on another planet
That
as far as guys that you're trying to interpret. I don't quite have a parallel to Kirby on what's going on.
He's an interesting cat.
Yeah, so it's going to be a story we're going to have to follow, right? And we've paid him, right? And he's come out of his shell, after signing that contract a little bit more. And can we stuff him back in that shell a little bit?
Right?
I don't know, but
hey, be your sideline to sideline guy and go make some interceptions, but you got to be on the field to do it. So
so quickly, give me a couple more things that really have to happen for this to be that successful.
There's still some question marks out there, right? You look at linebacker 3 and whether we go into that base package. I know we don't have Anzalone anymore, and we just signed Devin White in order to help fill a Rolder role who got banged up. And is going to miss some time.
We'll have more on that in a little bit.
And we'll talk more about that. But he's a question mark. Is Malcolm Rodriguez going to win that spot? He's a question mark. Is Ennis Rakestraw going to win a spot? We have this whole Terrion Arnold craziness where he's no longer part of the Detroit Lions. Or is it going to be Whiteside? Or is it going to be Dorsey? Or is it going to be Maddox? Who's going to win that CB2 spot? So there's some question marks out there. And then you look at the tight end room, which there was another injury today with Furter and having him go down. So you look at some of these guys when are we going to catch a break? So
the injuries are going to happen, right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen. The parallel to me is if you're going to bring your kid out and teach him how to ride a bike the first time, there's going to be some crashes, right?
Yeah.
And can you keep these injuries to a level of sustainability? Can you make sure there's no broken bones on the bike? Can you make sure that key players aren't getting hurt out there? That'll go a long way.
But every time you hear a guy leave the field, you're kind of freaking out a little bit, right? Lee McNeil left the practice field earlier with a head or neck, and it turns out he's good. He's back on.
It's overly cautious.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Blake Miller left for a little bit, and it was Vaki left today and got poked in the eye. So all of these pieces, you look at every time that somebody loses a rep or two because of injury, you're freaking out a little bit. There's a little PTSD going on.
Yeah, you're freaking out a little bit. It's the equivalent of you have your first kid and and they cry in bed and you run upstairs. You're patting them on the butt and you're rocking them and you're freaking out a little bit when your first kid falls when he tries to walk.
It's fair.
But what this is day one, right? When it comes down to it, second kid, you're man, I'm not putting gates up anymore. That kid, he'll fall down the stairs. He won't do it again, right? He'll learn his lesson by the fourth or fifth kid. It's
we're on 6 kids right now going on with the Detroit Lions and the
stop
the Brad Holmes and the Dan Campbells. But the problem is last year, we had options. We had aspirations. The year before, we had options. We had aspirations. This year, back to that idea that we can't lose these guys in order to make it, and the stars have to align. That's the big concern. So are we going back to first kid problems here?
Are you going to bubble wrap your first kid and have him walk around the world in a padded room, or are you going to let those guys go out and see what happens?
I will tell you, first day of pads, I expected a Dan Campbell practice coming out and we're popping and going after it and going to the ground, and I did not see that.
So let's roll right in there, because segment 2 is right. the Michael family training camp report.
Well, we talked about it a little bit. Yeah. It was an awesome experience. Looking on it, I saw guys like Devin White warming up, and you had special teams going on across the field, and he's doing sprint after sprint after sprint after sprint, and getting loose, and he looks fast. I just hope that he can, play to the 2021 Devin White, not necessarily the PFF grades of the last 4 years. So,
well, one thing about Devin White is you remember, okay, he's been in the league. He was Phil reminded me of this today. He was the 5th overall pick in the first round of, it was the 2018 draft. I can't remember. 2019. One of those drafts.
Yeah.
And he's only 28 years old.
Yeah.
He's only 28 years old, Brian. He's got, geez, what would I give to be only 28 years old? Man, so, he's not an old guy.
No.
He's in the prime of his NFL career.
But he's also played for several teams over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's not really finding a home yet. So there's a reason for that.
You're not making a home with the Raiders, right? Right now,
no, but he also was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You can find a home there, right?
You could find a home there. They do like old linebackers,
right? Well, he's not. You just said he's not old.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why he didn't work out there. Yeah, he wasn't quite old enough. Yeah. But you got any injury updates on kind of?
I mean, you look at Jimmy Rolder, and it's sad to hear a hamstring, and that's going to take him out for maybe even upwards to 8 weeks. And it reminds me a lot of the DJ Reed last year, where he was kind of nursing that and then came back early. I hope that they don't bring him back too early. I hope we can find some guys that can play. That Malcolm Rodriguez can come in. But it sounded like Jimmy was finding his way on the field, finding meaningful reps, finding a way to be impactful on that defense. And this does set him back. Missing training camp is those are huge reps.
I mean, nobody else
was saying
honking
that,
his horn
louder
than me. And that's a bummer. I still think he's going to be a guy.
Sure.
Derrick Moore
also banged up right now, and looks like his is going to be more like a 7 to 10 day stint. He'll be back.
No big deal.
Which is they'll probably be very cautious with him in order to bring him back, because he is going to be, again, a meaningful piece to this defense. So.
Yeah. All right. And then any Brian Michael Camp observations?
Oh man, we're in the, I don't know, the peasant section, not the VIP section. Obviously.
Right behind Justin Rogers.
No, we were in the stands, and we're my boys, and we're watching practice continue to go through, and wide receivers are right there. And I have to tell you, man, Amon-Ra St. Brown just looks smooth. Those people who may diminish or belittle him, he is so quick with his feet. Not fast, big, long steps, short, choppy steps, in and out of cuts, catches the ball with his hands. He looks above and beyond. But then in addition to that, J-Mo looked great, and his abilities to get down the field, catching the ball with his hands, contested catches. He's starting to come into his own, and it's cool to see those two. And then I would say, and then I know Tesla may have had some maybe not the best early part of camp, but he looked good today. He separated himself, and he very much looked like the wide receiver 3 today.
Okay, all right. That's exciting right there. That's exciting.
Yeah. Yep. So then you add in there Hassanin, who was just fun to watch. Fun to see him compete in and out of each and every rep. Energy, excitement. You hear him yelling. He is somebody that I really love to and I identify as I want to watch number 99. So he was cool. Blake Miller had a good day. He took a ton of first team reps and held his own. I don't think he's perfect, but he's continuing to grow. You look at the Sewell Hutch battles, and I think they both got each other at least once today, and that was again cool to see. Talk about iron sharpening iron. I was also very excited to see Laporta out there again, looking smooth, looking healthy, catching the ball. Again. Yeah, he's going to be a weapon for the Detroit Lions too. So
let's pause and just think about the fact that at one point the Lions are going to trot out there Laporta, Gibbs, J-Mo, Tesla, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Goff's going to stand back there and have the experience to know what routes they're running, what optionality they have out there, and defenses are going to be forced to be put in a situation where they got to figure out how they're going to defend against that.
What do you do? Like you see that lineup across that offensive line, and you got to make choices, right? You got to decide. And Goff is intelligent enough to identify those one-on-one matchups and get the right play in for the right situation. So that's why I love Goff. Not because he's mobile, not because he's a superstar. It's because he is intelligent enough to get the Detroit Lions in the right play at the right time.
Yeah, it's going
to be exciting.
If those guys stay healthy, behind that new offensive line, we're going to be looking at a really fun season. And we're going to talk soon here about, kind of a little bit of the flip side of that coin, but it's very exciting.
Yeah, it was a cool experience. I would love to go back again. It's if you've tried, it's hard to get those tickets, especially on that website, whether it's crashing or not. I thought I had them. I thought I didn't have them. Turns out I had them, and it worked out. So it was cool.
Man,
yeah.
So some of the biggest talking points, kind of transitioning. I think right now, Devin White signing. It's very rare, and if you can look back to Brad Holmes' tenure with the Lions, that he signs a big-name veteran right at this stage of the season. It doesn't happen very often.
Not at this stage. It's usually earlier in free agency that he goes out and gets a couple of those guys that are going to make an impact, but rarely that you get that name recognition, big name signing at this point of going into the first day of pads. So
I think the upside here is worth discussing. The problem is like from a third or fourth linebacker, you need them to play teams.
And
is Devin White a guy that's going to go out there and play teams?
I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at him as a Raider and where did he go? Was he a special teams guy?
He was an every down linebacker.
He was a Mike
right?
every down linebacker, and now we know we're gonna probably push him more into that Sam role.
He was a green dot every down
linebacker,
linebacker, yeah.
And so we don't need that. We're gonna have to put him a little bit outside that comfort zone. We also know that we've seen him in coverage last year. He's not a great coverage linebacker. He's fast. He's athletic. The guy is a specimen when it comes to like mobility, but it just doesn't seem like he has the nose for the ball like a guy like Jack Campbell, and we're hoping to see Derrick Barnes continue to grow in that role too. So
yeah, and I don't think the Lions are asking him to be a Jack Campbell, right?
No.
I think what they're asking him to be is a veteran that can take the playbook in, understand where to be, understand if he's got to spell guys, or even go out there and play in that spot that they envisioned Jimmy Rolder to play to start the season.
Yeah, and you looked at him, some of the things that he said. So Devin was talking to media and talking about, like, it's not about me anymore. It's about, like, winning and wanting to win and being a part of a winning culture. And he's had that. Let's bring it here to Detroit.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. So any other deadline moves that you see with the Lions adding something else, a veteran?
I think it's going to be very dependent on injuries going deeper into camp. You look at sometimes we get down to that 53-man cut down, and then you'll see, like last year, we brought in the Lacey's, who I've heard had a really, really good camp already. You look at some of the needs at that point, and hopefully we can address some of those things. But again, this roster is getting better and better each and every year, and it's going to get harder and harder to make the 53-man. And we're going to see some of the guys that we fall in love with in those preseason games go play for other teams.
Yeah. So reading through the unpadded practices and the padded practice, one thing that's kind of stood out to me is on the flip side of, like, hey, we teased you with, like, how exciting would it be to have Laporta, Gibbs, Tesla, J-Mo, Amon-Ra with Goff standing back there with a great offensive line. That sounds great, right?
Yeah.
The flip side of that is, so far, everything I'm reading, everything that I'm going through is the defense has consistently won red zone drills. Defense has won D-line over O-line. Linebackers are making splash plays. Cornerbacks are looking pretty good. That is that not the best dang sign we can see right now?
We gotta pump the brakes a little bit. All right, we're talking about the entirety of our practices up until today were unpadded. So we have to put ourselves in those places. We have to understand that our center is still learning and developing into that playbook. We moved our right tackle to left tackle this year. We have a rookie at right tackle. There's some movement. Jahmyr Gibbs has not seen the field yet. So there's these pieces that you have to consider in looking at that. Now, am I excited that our defense is starting to make plays? Yes. Do I want them to be around the ball all the time? Absolutely. But we're also talking about an offense that last year, even under Dan Campbell and John Morton, was one of the most potent offenses in all of the NFL. So this is not something I'm even remotely worried about when it comes to the offensive capability. It's more, like you said, exciting about how our defense is stepping up. Ultimately, I want to see our defense give our offense fits because I know how good our offense is.
So we don't want to give Sheppard his contract extension yet.
Not yet. Let's pump the brakes here. Let's see how this plays out a little bit. All
right. Yeah. I feel that. So, with that, we're gonna plug a little bit of an early transition on a off topic here before we get into Bill's bullet points and a couple other line segments. So stay with us here if you're not interested in Tiger stuff. But kind of a big day out of the D, right?
It's been a couple of days of trade deadlines, and what are the Tigers going to do? Are they going to continue to buy? Are they going to sell?
Yeah. So they decided early that Skubal was traded a couple of days ago, and then today at 5:58 and 32 seconds, Casey Mize and Gage Workman were also traded. So the Tigers 2 years ago tried to finesse the same strategy where they traded Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers for prospects, Tyron Lorenzo, I don't know who else. And they still made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And won a round, right? So this time the Tigers take their essentially their preseason number 1 and number 2 starters and they ship them off. And so I just kind of want to highlight a little bit of the new faces here. So Zaire Hope, the new number 2 prospect for a loaded Tigers farm system. If you look at Fangraphs right now, the Tigers have the second most valuable farm system in all of Major League Baseball, only behind the Dodgers. Okay. So there's a lot there. Those are it's like having the second most amount of lotto tickets. That doesn't mean you're gonna win, but you have the highest, second highest chance to win versus the teams. But Zaire Hope, probably your future right fielder for the Tigers. 5-tool player, hits left, crushes lefties at a higher clip than he crushes righties. So a guy that can be in the lineup every day. Expected to arrive in 1 to 2 years. If the Tigers really like what they see, they can bring him up next year. He's going to report to Erie right now, but a very, very exciting young player. 21 years old. So he's right there with that McGonigal timeline, Dylan Dingler timeline. And by the way, have you watched any games recently?
I have.
We have a new center fielder in town.
Yeah, Max Clark is not doing terrible, let me tell you.
No, him and his 13 gold necklaces look pretty good. Yeah. But that's an exciting. And then you throw in, you got Jackson Jobe, you got Melton, you got Kiter Montero. This is a very, very exciting nucleus. And how you Lee's looking good.
Yes.
Max Anderson's tearing up the AAA right now. So, all right. So, we're kind of sunsetting this year. But I'm here to kind of pour some sugar on future years. We also got a guy, River Ryan, not a young minor leaguer, River Ryan is 27, turning 28 soon. He's going to make his Major League debut probably in the next 2 weeks with the Tigers. He throws a mid to upper 90s fastball. He has 6-pitch arsenal that he's going to feature. Those are all six of those pitches are Major League quality pitches. When healthy, he projects as a Mize to Mize plus. He was a Fangraphs number 2 prospect for the Dodgers. Former draft pick of the Padres. The Dodgers traded for him, gave up a lot to get him. Very exciting guy. The last piece of that trade was Brady Smith. So right-handed starter, signed to West Michigan. His future projection is kind of a number 3 starter in Major League Baseball. That's just a pie-in-the-sky projection. Yeah. But young guy, and you could tell that the Tigers coveted arms. So he's a guy that
could also transition into that bullpen type arm too.
He certainly could, but he's going to go to West Michigan. Yep. He's got a high strikeout ratio right now. His Ks per 9 right now are 11.3 in the Dodgers farm system. So he's averaging over a strikeout an inning, which I think that's one thing the Tigers, one of the metrics that they got away from, especially in the bullpen, Brian, where we really struggled to get strikeouts when you need strikeouts. So, Cash Mayfield, interesting one, man. So the Tigers, obviously traded Mize today, and this guy's got a cult following with the Padres. If you go to the Padres message boards, they are just devastated to lose this guy.
Excited about this.
So he's a fringe top 100 prospect. He checks in now at Detroit's number 6 prospect. Mid to high 90s fastball already. His best pitch, he features a changeup that they say it's Major League Baseball ready right now. Grades out at a 70, which is a very high grade. Very, very big upside. He's probably a couple years away. He's also going to report to West Michigan. Okay. So living in West Michigan, be a good time to go out check out a Whitecaps game out.
Absolutely.
Also picked up Jackson Wolf from the Padres. Interesting pickup. ERA in the minors is north of 5. Lot of tools. Throws hard. A lot of stuff out there. Just has not put everything together.
But from these prospects and the trades that we made, you lose Skubal, who is possibly the best pitcher in the game right now, and you lose Casey Mize, who, for the Tigers was our number 2, maybe number 3, pitcher in the rotation. But you bring in prospects, to like you said, an already potent, farm system. You said this earlier before we got on, is like we had some great prospects already, and we brought in 3 of our top 6 prospects in our farm league just from these 2 trades.
So, and if you're watching this and you're jaded on prospects, which I don't blame you. These prospects, there's a lot of names that don't work out. But one thing you could do with prospects is you could trade your prospects over for a proven veteran. So if these guys are highly rated, they're in the system, this is... You're trading in a currency that teams will buy when they're sellers, right? So, we're trading in U.S. dollars here, right? This is a very, very nice thing to have your farm system stocked. You got to capitalize when the time is right. And maybe these guys will come up and be Tigers, or maybe they use them to get the 1 or 2 missing pieces to kind of fill out the team for the next year.
Yep.
Still here?
Gleyber Torres.
Yeah, interesting, right?
Yeah, I thought that you were going to ship him out.
Flaherty's still here, yeah. And then Kenley Jansen, man. Yep. I guess they couldn't.
I'm guessing those 3 guys, the market wasn't as potent for a it's still expensive second baseman, but had that solid bat. So
yeah, and there's a lot of Scott Harris haters out there. I don't want to be an apologist either, but Scott Harris inherited a 66-win team. Back-to-back playoff appearances off of that. The second-best farm system in all of Major League Baseball. This is off the backs of Dave Dombrowski's philosophy, and Dave Dombrowski did great things for the Tigers, but his philosophy was trade every piece of that farm to get proven veterans. So the Tigers were, Avila inherited that.
Yep.
And the Tigers were like, they didn't have anything in the system. Also, we're the second best farm system in baseball, and that's without McGonigal. He's no longer counted towards that. A guy that we pulled early up. You put McGonigal in there, it's probably the best farm out there.
Yeah.
We're competitive today. We're built for sustained success. So just to give you a quick rundown, Max Clark is our number one farm guy. He hasn't graduated. I know he's playing with the Tigers. Zaire Hope, number 2. Bryce Rayner, playing in West Michigan. Man, West Michigan is just absolutely loaded. So Rayner's hitting like 350, doubles, home runs. He's barreling the ball. Like he's your shortstop of the future. Shows range. Jose Preciño, former Whitecap. He's probably our future first baseman if Torque doesn't put it all together. River Ryan is going to be up there quick. Cash Mayfield going to West Michigan, left-handed pitcher. Hopefully dominates. Jordan Yost, 2025, first-round draft pick, shortstop, playing in Lakeland right now. Stud. Ben Jacobs, another 2025 draft pick, left-handed pitcher. Max Anderson, you'll see him very, very soon. Max Anderson's last 13 at-bats, he's been on at least first base every single time.
That's crazy.
Not counting today's games. I don't know if they play today. Malachi Weatherspoon, stud. Chris Rodriguez, top guy signed out of Dominican Republic. Lions spent more money on him than any other time on an international signing in the history. He signed him at 16 years old. Toolsy player. Guy projects to be kind of 6'3", 220, 5-tool player. Just a lot to be excited about for the Tigers. So I'll jump off the soapbox, but that was kind of a fun, hey, we're at the end of the trade deadline. Yeah. It's depressing. We traded away the best pitcher in baseball, maybe our third or fourth best pitcher, but there's a lot to look forward to.
Yep. And they're still competitive this year, so they're still trying to make a run and, sweeping the Athletics at their place-ish. At Sacramento and, on to the Mariners where they can really gain some ground. So
if you love off-topic stuff, let us know. If you hate it, let us know.
Yeah.
If you're like everybody else, don't let us know anything. We'll just keep doing what we think is okay for the podcast.
That's fun. Yeah, that's fun. We'll do what we want to do.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, that's fun. So
on to Bill's bullet points. Bill, still texting back and forth with him about, the upcoming season. He's got nothing but very exciting things to say about guys like Devin White. He's excited to bring him in. He thinks that this might be one of the most aggressive free agent signings that Brad Holmes has had at this point of the season. And I can't disagree. I mean, he is a guy that has some name recognition. He has some guy that has some prowess. Everybody kind of rolling back to the 2021 where Devin White was an All-Pro, right? Or Pro Bowl. He was
a second-team All-Pro.
Oh, second-team All-Pro.
And a Pro Bowler. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, he this is a guy that has some resume put together in order to support your Detroit Lions. The big question mark, though, is that we brought in Devin White in order to help replace Jimmy Rolder, who got banged up and now has some hamstring issues, and we're not sure how quickly he can return, right? And so does Brad Holmes bring in these guys that have some injury tendencies because you get a good bang for your buck on that. You look at Ennis Rakestraws. You look at, I don't know, he brought in Davenport in hopes that he would be, maybe not all draft picks, but guys that he brings into our system that do have that injury, they're injury prone because you can get the best value for them. So.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know, and you're trying to catch a little lightning in the bottle, and you're doing it on a budget because you got guys like Jahmyr Gibbs that you got to sign.
Yeah.
You got guys.
Yeah, I mean, you play within those margins, right?
Yep. So. Laporta wants money, right? Yeah. Brian Branch wants money. So, here we are.
Here we go. You look at guys like that White, that pile up tackles, that play well, but what are the analytics saying, and are they going to help support him, help supporting this team. So,
are you a PFF guy, or are you like a
in
moderation?
In moderation, I mean, you look at PFF and there's some of their scores, and you look at they love Hutch. They love them some Hutch. He gets some really good scores. They love them some Sewell.
Yeah.
They get some really good scores, but there may be some guys that they're a little bit more down on.
So we like PFF when they like our guys,
Yeah,
but we don't like PFF when they don't like our guys, right?
You know it. So, Bill also talks about how Tesla had a rough camp. I was texting him today. Hey, he's looking smooth today. I think he's still got some work to do. I mean, the guy, again, is in year 2 of his NFL, and he, again, was young in regards to the wide receiver position. He was a quarterback through high school. He went to Hillsdale for 2 years. He went to Arkansas for another couple of years. That didn't feature him all that much. So he's got some growing to do, but he looked... Again, to me today, he looked like that wide receiver 3. So,
Yeah, all right. All right.
And then, you can't get Bill off of the Montgomery. Like, he still thinks that was a mistake to let him walk and to rely on guys like Isaiah Pacheco or even Vaki. Vaki, like, getting poked in the eye. You talk about, whether not having that running back 2, that feature, that next guy that can help support this team, gives Gibbs this leverage in order to say, hey, you don't have anybody else to lean on. You got to rely on me, and so therefore give me the bag.
Yeah.
So, and that's not he's not wrong.
Well, we signed a guy, Pacheco, that brought his team into multiple playoff runs, right? So there's guys there.
Sure, and I like Pacheco. I think that Pacheco can give this team a spark when Gibbs is on the field.
Also, speaking of a guy that the analytics don't love, Pacheco.
That's fair.
Don't love Pacheco.
No, and so I like the way he plays. I like that he is reckless abandon. I'm worried about his durability. And, I mean, this guy plays, like, so hard without the body to be able to play so hard. So, that worries me a little bit. Anyway, DJ Reed, loving that he is back to form, looking like he is somebody that's pre-injury DJ Reed versus post, coming back to early DJ Reed. And that's a huge piece for this Lions defense.
Dear 7-pound, 7-ounce baby Jesus. We need DJ Reed to be a number 1 corner this year.
Let's go. Yeah, amen.
Yeah. So
amen.
Yeah.
And Kazim, am I saying that right?
Brian, I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So he's texting me this intervirtual like bar and grill that is coming to Detroit that we're all excited. Like, he sent me some videos. Thing looks sweet. Like, you're immersed, like you can be in a bar and a restaurant while still feeling like you're in the game in the front row. I'm in.
Yeah.
Hey, that seems awesome.
Bring it to Grand Rapids. I'll be more in.
Yeah,
on
more
that,
in.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thanks, Bill, for your bullets.
Yeah, as always, Bill. We'd love to have you right between the little love circle right here. Yeah.
Bring you right in. I texted him again. Hey, what you doing tonight? He's like, packed. It's a packed night. It's a packed night.
Yeah. So.
I don't like a packed Monday night, Bill.
Oh man. You want to close with a quick question and then get out of here?
Let's do it.
I told the audience 47 minutes and
we're at 48:33.
Yeah. Yeah. So some of those minutes didn't count at the end.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's one thing that's happened for Detroit? It's got to happen for Detroit to win the Super Bowl that nobody out there is talking about right now. And it can't be Goff going crazy, Hutch going crazy, or injuries, the blatant, people got to be healthy, or people can't be injured, right? Like, what's that one thing that it's got to be just, I don't know, something under the radar?
One, I think it looks at the defensive side of the ball. I think that you need to have production from guys like Tyleik Williams and Ali McNeil.
Okay.
I think that you need to have a stellar year from Derrick Barnes. Especially if we're not going to go into a base package and see a ton of 3 linebacker sets. We're gonna rely on Derrick Barnes to play a huge role.
What about we just say both Derricks?
Derrick's.
Yeah.
Derrick Moore?
Yeah.
Derrick Barnes.
You ever watch the show Shrinking?
Yes, I've seen. Yeah,
it's a great
Jason
show. It's on,
Segel?
it's on Apple. But there's the two Derricks, right? There's the black Derrick and the white Derrick, and they're both handsome guys, like hair farmers. But like maybe our version of the two Derricks show up and they have really good season.
I love it.
Yeah,
I would love that. So I would say the defensive one, they have to produce pressure and they have to produce turnovers. If those two things happen on our defensive side of the ball, I think that our season is going to be successful.
Yeah, I would absolutely be along for the ride and be recording every other week or so on the Passing Time podcast as it goes. So we're starting to, like put the Honolulu Kool-Aid in the glass, right? Like
after today, it's one of those things that warms it back up. Football becomes real again, and I love being able to share that with my boys, and now bringing it back here and sharing it with Rob.
I'm one of your boys.
Yeah. All right, that's not what I meant. But anyway, so no, it just gets me reinvigorated and excited for the Lions and what they have to offer. Because I'm not joking when I say we're so close to those stars aligning. One or two things that are in our favor, whether it's health, whether it's like these turnovers, whether it's Derrick Moore having 8 sacks, whether it's Hutch having a record season for himself, whether it's whatever it might be. Some of these things have to align, but when they do, it's going to be special.
And you can never predict what's going to happen. It could be Devin White coming in here and having 115 tackles, being like that sounds far-fetched. Or it could be Isaac Tesla catching 14 touchdown passes this year. Like you just don't know. The roster is there to have a lot of possibilities. The unknown isn't known now, but at the end of the year, we could look back on it and be like, it was so obvious. Like we should have known that.
Should have known.
And last year's so obvious was the offensive line was weak. And we have a statue quarterback that needs a good line. And we had a first-year defensive coordinator that he lost his head coach because he was coaching the offense and he was kind of out on his own island. It was so obvious, but you have to live through the life to be that way. And what Brian's saying is hey, there's a lot of possibilities for something to be so obvious right now to turn out good, and we need a little bit of that moat.
Yep, we need it. And as Lions fans, we live in the hopium, and we're striving for that success, right? We're just hoping for that one thing to go right versus go wrong. And if you're like me, it doesn't matter if you're up by 14 or if you're up by 3. Your breath is not easy until that last snap is taken and that knee is on the ground and the time takes 0-0-0, right? Because we've seen crazier things happen.
And Brian's going to rip his shirt off if we go on any longer. So we're going to kill it right there, fellas. Thanks for passing time with us. This is episode number 56. And we will be back for episode number 57 very soon. Cheers.